Right, I've spent the whole weekend configuring a new 8 TB hard drive and didn't realise how many systems I would have to sort out the Xinmo controllers just to get them running perfect. I've been into RetroArch. I've created 2 folders of RetroArch. I've created a 360 setup for the Xbox 360 controllers, and I've created a setup for the Xinmo arcade controllers as well. So in systems like Sega Genesis, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, stuff like that, all configured with the arcade sticks, MAME and all other systems like that, all configured with the arcade sticks. Systems like Dreamcast, PlayStation 1 are configured with the Xbox controllers, and then PlayStation 2, stuff like that, all configured with the Xbox controllers as well. So if I just go into Dreamcast a second, find Street Fighter 2, I always test Street Fighter 2. With this new system as well, it seems to save your previous game that you want on them systems. So if I just grab the controller, and it should start fine using the Xbox controller. Sammy Thomas Wave, I believe I configured with the arcade sticks. It is set up, if you do wish to change it, you can just go into Rocket Launcher by exiting out of Hyperspin and on Shell and Windows, and then changing that over to the arcade sticks, because I believe there's 1 or 2 games that may require a different button layout. So just go into Versus quickly, test both controllers. I do have to maybe check some of these games, because these systems, because I know RetroArch can be a bit laggy on some gameplay like it is now, so it may just have to be direct to DMUL and stuff like that. I know DMUL's great for Dreamcast, but I'll have to go through and test a couple of them Dreamcast games out and stuff, because RetroArch doesn't quite emulate all the games properly on there, but it does load them all in perfectly fine, exits out perfectly fine. There has been 1 or 2 games that I've come across which I know run perfectly fine through MAME, that don't run as great through RetroArch, so I'll just configure them back and forth between them. So like some Mega Drive, if we go on to Mega Drive, Street Fighter 2, yet again I always test Street Fighter, because I like me punch buttons to be at the top, you kick buttons to be at the bottom, and then it's got to be light punch, medium punch, hard punch, light kick, medium kick, hard kick. That's perfectly out for playing with arcade sticks. So always go in, give it a test, exit out. I have been doing some pinball configuration on this. Like I say, I've done the whole configuration in and out of every system, removed stuff that doesn't emulate properly or work well. I've removed stuff like Steam and stuff like that, because I'll just add games if they're going to be Steam games on another drive, as special system offers. So as you can see, light kick, medium kick, hard kick, and light kick, medium kick, hard kick. Same with the punches, all configured perfectly fine. And same with SNES, you've got to change the Mega Drive and Genesis stuff around a little bit with a mapping in RetroArch to change to that configuration. And SNES is usually standard, so it will recognise as LR, stuff like that, so it configures really well. I've been going right through the M2 configuration. Sega M2 stuff is Xbox controller. I don't believe I've configured the fighting games like Fighting Fighters with the arcade sticks, that are going to be on the controllers. But the configuration, the emulators there, if the customer wants to change to to the arcade sticks. It's simple setup. It's just a matter of unshelling the operating system, and then, as you can see, you've got your kick, you've got your block. Is that block? And that's block, and then you have your kick and punch for this. And as you can see, both controllers are configured. I used to quite like this Fighting Vipers on the Sega Saturn. Right, exit emulator, left pinball button. I've went in as well, added Street Fighter 5. I've had to, because it's Windows 10 running operating system, I can now back up Windows 10 perfectly. I will be putting a backup, it'll be 120 gig backup on a server drive somewhere, and then keeping it off this drive because there's so much on this drive. I believe there's only about 60 gig left on. I will be doing a Mortal Kombat 11 machine with Mortal Kombat 11 configured with the arcade sticks very soon. That machine's being built. If we just go back here and go to so many systems on here. Just load up a Techno Parrot game. Wacky Races I've got to remove. I'll get the file again. I did accidentally delete that off. I don't know if I can be bothered to download it. It's an alright game. Let's have a look. I believe Let's Go Island, because I've done the actual configuration for that. I've done all the calibration for it. I've also I may add Aliens Extermination to this system. It's only about a gig of space, so I've also added a hotkey for it because it didn't have an exit emulator, an exit game button, and I've done the calibration on that game also, and it seems to work great. I haven't set up two mice with it, and I might just leave it as a one player anyways. It works really well, really well. I've noticed a couple of lags within the game, but other than that the game works great. But I haven't added it onto this system yet. I'll create a menu and everything else for it. I believe this is on free play, so it should be the right mouse button to start. I had a nightmare calibrating this game. There's no tutorials online really to show you how, or no one's done a video on the calibration. So I may do a video in the future of how to calibrate it, just so the information's out there. There's little bits of here and there in forums, but there's no actual video showing how to get the game calibrated properly. As you can see, it's calibrated perfectly. I am using a mouse on this, so it should work with aim track guns really well. The Wii games and Wii controller games work with the Xbox controllers at the moment. I will be setting up some Wii bars and stuff like that. So that's something I'll be doing in the next couple of weeks hopefully. Customers all ordering some, so I'll be doing some configuration on that. Trackball, all the trackball games work with a mouse trackball. Also, let's have a look at, I do have Mortal Kombat 11 on there ready. This will be getting removed for this system, but just the database of it It'll be getting re-added for the Mortal Kombat 11 arcade bar top. That may be an 8TB plus another 3TB extra. Devil May Cry will also be getting removed off this system, but then added on the new system, Mortal Kombat 11 system. I'll just go into some pinball games. I believe Future Pinball, which is there. Just quickly going Back to the Future.
Extracting file.
So like I say, I've configured both sticks for the pinball games, for the Future Pinball
Extraction
stuff.
complete.
I've got the pinball side buttons. I've got the right player 2 for all the views of the game. So you'll have view 1, view 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for all 8 buttons. You have your add coin on the bottom left, player 1, and then you have your start. Then the first button, which I call A on these, will be the launch ball. But I can't swap them around, so launch ball will be on the far right maybe. So let's add a credit.
It's Saturday morning, October 26, 1985, 1:18 a.m.
I believe you get a bonus if you hit 85, 6 million watt. So I don't like that view. I prefer the full table view. It's a bit awkward trying to play length right over. I do love this table. I had it on a virtual pin. Player 2 at coin would be the exit system on these. There's, like I said, there's over 480 just Future Pinball stuff, a lot more than what I've had previously. A lot more. I have configured the Pinball FX2 as well as the other PC titles. I think the other pinball one is Pinball Arcade on there. You just go in, there's tons and tons of MAME. There's 2-player, 4-player, there's 70s collection of MAME, there's 80s and 90s. There's also flying games, light gun games. Like I say, there's just tons and tons and tons of systems on here. Sometimes I have difficulty finding where things are. I usually pass them 3 or 4 times. There is PlayStation 3 on here, which I configured with the 360 controllers. So I'll not load one because some take quite a while to load. But they do work. Afterburner's quite cool. Angry Birds and stuff. Castlevania works really well. I'll give that a test. That took a little while to load. So let's have a look. PC games. Because I have 2 options. I have PC games and I have PC fighting games. So into PC fighting games, I had to repair Street Fighter 5. Because the online was on and it updated the game, so I blocked that from the firewall, done its necessary blocks from the game updating. So if I just go down to Street Fighter 5, I have these menus to clean up a little bit. There's Mortal Kombat XL on there, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Injustice 2, all configured, Tekken 7. I believe Tekken 7 is a new version which has all the extras on as well. I'll go into that in a moment. So if I just go into Street Fighter 5. So I've done the complete, I'll be doing a complete backup of the operating system, Windows 10. I've got a good cloning bit of software called Macrum. Macrum seems to clone Windows 10 drives perfectly fine. And then there'll be a restore of that. So there'll be some software there as well, the Macrum. It's free to download. There will be that on the cloud drive as well as a backup of the OS, so there'll be no problems of restoring it back to its original state, as well as there'll be a backup about 97 gig of the rocket launcher files as well as a Hyperspin setup. So all the setup files and everything, which all run through I believe joy to key. Joy to key is blocked on some systems and it's enabled on most of the systems, and it works alongside with it. It works really well. I mean, it works absolutely brilliant. So let's go to a 2-player match. As you can see, both controllers work well with the Street Fighter 5 game. Select the character. I know sometimes if it does update for any reason, it shouldn't do, it is blocked, but when it does update it can mess the EXE up, or it can remove the extra characters and just put your default characters on. So that's why I've went in the firewall, blocked it all out of there, so it shouldn't mess up the system at all. I don't recommend going online anyways. I recommend keeping it offline. But for the Mortal Kombat 11 machine, that's going to have a Mortal Kombat Steam game, so it will be online capable for that, just that one game. The rest of the games are all in systems will all be blocked online. So like I say, I usually test Street Fighter, so it'll be light punch, medium punch, hard punch, and because it's a next gen fighting game, you have your LB or B buttons, so you'll have your free punch and your free kick as your button 7 and 8. Then light punch, medium punch, hard punch and free punch. I do recommend having a Xinmo stick upgrade. It's a lot better clicks on there, a lot better movement. I mean, you get the precision with Xinmo sticks for doing like your Dragon Punch on Street Fighter and games like that. It's just perfect every time. It's great if you've got a couple of mates front and you're quite good at Street Fighter and you just have a nice little tournament going. You don't want any cheap arcade sticks at all playing it. So because it's a PC game, you've got to go to the main menu, exit out. And then it'll bring you direct back to Hyperspin. This will be getting shelled to Windows 10. I have a little tutorial that I use for Windows 10 online. It's not the best video, but it gives you the rough idea how to get it shelled and stuff. Instant sheller doesn't always work. You need to create a bat file and put it in the startup folder, so then that bat file will load Windows Hyperspin. Sorry, it will not load from a shortcut of Hyperspin or the direct exe. It's got to be a .bat file, and it'll recognize it in the startup folder. So when you shell it, it won't shell direct to Hyperspin. You've got to then add that bat file to the startup folder, and then it'll work perfectly fine. Load up perfectly fine, exit and stuff like that. So just go to Tekken 7. I think I'll make this the last game because I've only got 9 minutes of recording left, and plus I want something to eat. I'm absolutely starving. Some games take a little while to load in, especially PC games. There's a couple of PC games on there like Dragon Ball FighterZ, Injustice 2 and Tekken 7, and I believe Soul Calibur 6. You just got to load the game and just wait. It does take a little while. I believe Dragon Ball FighterZ takes the longest. So you just load it, wait. Once the system loads, just make sure you exit the system via the main menu with the system itself, and then you're back to the Hyperspin menu. sometimes if anyone wants to set up Tekken 7 also with arcade sticks, especially the Xinmo controllers, the Xinmo controller always looks like a 1 controller on Tekken 7, and then if you start pressing, it'll do like player 1 and player 2. It'll be, once you press start, it'll press start for both players, and then you'll find you're only controlling with that 2 players, as well as a D-pad. It's an analog on the Xinmo controller. There's a button on the new Xinmo controllers that changes it to D-pad, but for Tekken 7 I just use Xbox 360 CE. Xbox 360 CE will remap the Xinmo controllers with 360 controllers, but what I sometimes do is I would change the side button to a start button. The pinball button on the left is a start button, for the Xinmo controllers, and for the Xbox 360 just tell it that the start button is a start on the front, because what I've come to realise is having that map like that, when you press start, it presses start twice on when you go into versus, and then that will use the player 1 as 2 separate controllers. It took us a while to get around that. It was a bit of a nightmare. I kept pressing start, it would move both characters, and it was just an absolute pain. So you just remap the Xinmo controller start to a different button, a button you wouldn't use, and then have the Xbox X360 CE mapped as the 360 controllers, and then it will work fine. So on this, I believe this should be the first time using it. Looks like it's, at the moment, I will have to go in and set up X360. Doesn't look like I have, and I've got Xbox controllers plugged in, so I recommend having them unplugged. Because it may be set up, I think it's just because I've got the Xbox controllers plugged in. I'll just check that a second. Yes, because it's configured as player 1, so there's the Xbox controllers at the moment. I should have had them unplugged. Like I say, this comes with all the DLC. I do prefer the the arcade sticks, playing Tekken and stuff, but just for this video, like I say, on the menu, certain menus it uses the left stick, I mean the D-pad, and on the main menu and other menus it uses the analog. It's just best to have it mapped to the D-pad. No, I don't want basic combos. So just go on the versus battle. May even let us. So just so for some reason I haven't got Xbox X360 CE set up on this. I'll go in and have a look. I'll go through all the PC games before I do my backup anyways, and make sure X360 CE is set up properly on there. But if I just go back, escape out of this game, so I'll just unplug the Xbox controllers. I'll go in. I don't believe I have much left. 3 minutes left on the camera. So if I just go into D drive, PC, sign out quickly, sign back in. There's 3 minutes left on the video. Right, go into D drive and then go to arcade and go to PC games. But just enable the internet a second. I'll just check Tekken 7 binaries, Win64, and then I'll just enable the internet in case it needs it, because X360CE to set up controllers often needs internet switched on. Yes, so I haven't configured this yet, so it goes through. You've got to make sure you have the internet connected. It goes through, configures, and it's already configured with the D-pad, so you'd have it set up with a D-pad, and then I believe select in start is 7 and 8, and then 5, 6, 7, that would be code, that would be 12 on the new config, and 11 we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when I go back into Tekken 7 it should work perfectly fine. Record 7, 8, and change them 2 buttons because the new mapping is changed to different, because 7 and 8 on the Xbox controller are different, 6 and 7, sorry. So which come up as 7 and 8 on here for some reason. Right, and that would be it. I can show quick, hopefully it loads quick, as there's only a minute left, because it's been loaded once. I think it sometimes loads quicker the second time you've loaded the game. I think it's just first initial load. I don't think I'm going to have much time. There's a minute left of the video. I don't think I'll be able to show an example, but it should work perfectly fine. It just wasn't configured with X360CE. I'll go in and I'll double check all the PC games, make sure they're all loading with X360CE. There's some cool games on there like Shank and Dead or Alive 5. I think I'm going to have to end the video there, but that'll be it. I'll upload this video soon and then go and get something to eat. I'll see you later. Bye.